Aunt Trudy hurries back. Aunt Trudy did not have time to tell the promised story after all. For the next day, there was a message calling her to take care of a sick girl. She quickly packed her things, and when she was ready to go, the family were all waiting in the hall to tell her goodbye. The little girl will feel better as soon as she sees Aunt Trudy smile, said Daddy. They all kissed her goodbye. When it was Margie's turn, she hugged her extra tight and whispered in her ear, I love you so much, Aunt Trudy, and thank you for telling me your secret story. Aunt Trudy squeezed Margie's hand and whispered back, now it's your secret too, and don't forget the smile. Then she was off, gaily waving back at them. The house seemed lonely without her, but they were glad to remember that she was making someone else happy. Then, soon, it was time for school to begin, and there was plenty to do. Mother, Mother, Dick called one day when he got home from school, as he called almost every day when he got home. He hunted in the house and he hunted in the yard, but no mother could be found. Oh, well, he thought to himself, she has gone to town and will be back soon. I'll just play in front of the yard until Margie gets here. After a while, Margie arrived, but Mother still hadn't come. So they played some games in the house. Now it was time for Daddy to get home, but he didn't come either. The house began to feel big and empty. The children looked at each other with fear in their eyes. They wondered what could be the trouble. Bang! There was the phone. Both children rushed for it. Margie picked up the receiver and Dick listened anxiously. It was Mother. Where are you, Mother? Margie asked. Don't ask any questions now, dear, she answered. You and Dick stay in the house, and I'll be home in a little while. They stood watching at the front window. It seemed such a long time, but finally, Mother came. They rushed to the door to meet her. Her face looked pale and tired. What is it, Mother? What has happened? They cried. She put an arm around each one and led them over to the sofa so they could sit down together. Then she spoke slowly and quietly. Daddy is very sick. He is in the hospital where he will get good care. Now, we must all be brave and pray that he will soon be well. There, Daddy sick? And in the hospital? They could hardly believe it. But he wasn't there for supper. And when they looked at Mother's pale, tired face, they knew it must be true. Their hearts felt cold inside and their throats felt tight. And they couldn't say a word. They sat very close to Mother and her arms held them tight. After a while, Dick looked up and said, Can Daddy come home soon, Mother? I don't know, dear. The doctor will tell us when he can come home. And now we must get supper and study your homework, for Daddy will feel much better if we do all the things that we're supposed to do. Then they did all the things that they were supposed to do, but when bedtime came, Daddy wasn't there to tell them a story. And Dick and Margie and Mother all prayed that God would make him well soon. In the quiet darkness, Margie lay thinking about her father. She couldn't help crying a little, although she tried hard not to. After a long while, she tiptoed into her mother's room. Mother was lying in the dark thinking about Daddy, too. Mother, Margie whispered, God will make Daddy well, won't he? I surely hope so, dear. But Daddy is a good man, Margie went on anxiously. God wouldn't let him die, would he? Oh, we hope not. But we can't tell about those things. And at that, Mother had a hard time to keep back tears, too. But Mother, why does God let good people and little children and helpless animals get sick and have trouble? Why doesn't he help? Why doesn't he take care of them, especially when they pray to him for help? Well, dearie, that's a hard question. It is a question that almost everybody wonders about it sometime. But you see, God cannot be partial. He has to treat everyone alike, or someone would say he is not fair. But God is good, and he has power to do anything he wants to. Why does he let anybody get sick or get killed or have trouble? God never intended that we should get sick and die, Mother explained. But long ago there was someone who got to thinking he was as important as God. He tried to interfere with what God did, and that started all the trouble. You know, Mother, that is the very thing that Grandpa and Aunt Trudy told me. Now you tell me too. Margie lay still for a time thinking. It was so cozy there in the dark with Mother. Finally, she had another question. Why doesn't God stop anyone who spoils his plan and causes trouble? He is going to stop it someday, but it is taking quite a while to work out his plan. I must tell you the story sometime, but it's late. You have to get up for school in the morning, and I must go to the hospital to see about Daddy. So run along to your bed and go to sleep. In a few days, the doctor said Daddy could come home, but it would take him a long time to get well, and then he would have to stay in bed. Mother needed someone to help care for him. Now, whom could they get? Why, Aunt Trudy, of course. So a message was sent, and you may be sure Aunt Trudy hurried right back. Everyone felt better the minute her cheery face appeared in the doorway. All day she helped Mother take care of Daddy. When bedtime came, Dick asked, Aunt Trudy, will you tell us a story? Why, of course, Dick. I love to tell stories. Then Margie came up. Are you going to stay with us for a while, Aunt Trudy? Yes, I'm going to stay as long as your daddy is sick enough to need me. The doctor says it's going to take Daddy a long time to get well. So will you have time to tell that long story you told me about? Why, that's a wonderful idea, replied Aunt Trudy. Since it is a long story, I will tell you a small part of it each night for a bedtime story. How would that be? Oh, we'd love that, both children exclaimed with delight. They cuddled close to Aunt Trudy, and she began to tell her story. The next chapter is The Story Begins.